Welcome to On the Chain.
There's been a lot of conversation recently. There was some articles that had come out in March of 2021, and those are all beginning to resurface again. That Ripple utilizing XRP is going to become a bridge for CBDCs around the world. Now, this was, an article that's already, or this discussion point that's already a year old, and it's beginning to resurface. However, what isn't resurfacing and what is new is that, yes, there are multiple new partnerships and new associations that are popping up all over the place. And one of those new associations that is popping up, and we're going to get into this here a little bit right now, is the Digital Euro Association. So, yes, the Digital Euro Association. And this is, important. And, there's going to be multiples that we discuss here. And so, this one in specific, why is it important? Well, because the Digital Association, and here's Ripple joining the Digital Euro Association as a supporting partner to further develop our work with CBDCs. Now, Chip and I have discussed this notion of decentralization versus centralization, decentralization pushing into freedoms, centralization pushing into, more centralization. So here, still, as we know, the CBDCs are going to become walled gardens. They might be great in the country that they're being derived in. They might be great in the regional sphere of influence that country may have. But beyond that, you're still going to have transaction from one CBDC to another. Now, I'm not going to knock a government or a central bank for wanting to maintain the sovereignty of their currency, which is also an extension to the sovereignty of their country, and the control of that country. So, getting beyond that, though, okay, so now you have the centralized, controlled currency of that one specific area. How do you then transact where it would be different from what we have right now? So if you have a digital version of the US dollar that is regulated and controlled by the Fed, uh, why is that any different than paper fiat? Right now, a lot of our currency is ones and zeros, and yet that ones and zero technology is still extremely slow and monotonous, mainly because there still is a manual settlement process when you're moving money across border, if you're moving it from one zone to the next. So now, if you have a CBDC, how is that going to be any different if there is no interoperability between these centrally banked digital currencies? And as we're already seeing, countries that are discussing digital currency, some of them are moving towards a blockchain based solution, and some of them, like with the digital yuan, are completely not. They're just digital versions that are completely programmable money, that are also then completely controllable and manipulatable by the government. And so here you have the dilemma. So now, how do you take all of these CBDCs and get them to communicate with one another if you don't have interoperability? And this is exactly where the RippleNet solution comes in, and the ODL solution. So now, if you can help support the CBDCs that inevitably are going to come about, there's no way we can stop it. It's going to happen. You have an organization, an entity like Ripple that understands it very clearly, very succinctly, that these CBDCs are going to come about. And we've even seen in the US, the Fed pushing back against this notion of the US dollar, a digital dollar. And then in the same breath, they're already making an allowance and creating the environment to roll it out. So now, when you understand, from that perspective, so here we go. You need to have some sort of interconnectivity, interoperability between these different digital currencies. You have to have a world in which you have the stable coins and the cryptocurrencies that are out there and existing, because a lot of these projects will rely on that. And so here you have Ripple understanding the broader scope and the broader vision of what's happening. And so joining with the Digital Euro Association said this is one part of our larger goal to develop and deliver global solutions for CBDCs and stable coins through our blockchain and crypto expertise. Now, the one thing that in the US they have not done very well is actually reaching out to those companies that have the expertise in rolling out blockchain and cryptocurrency. What they have done is push back and attack the experts, supposedly on behalf of the retail investor. Yet in the rest of the world, like with the Digital Euro Association, if you just look at their Twitter, the Digital Euro Association is a think tank specializing in crypto assets, stablecoins, central bank digital currencies, and other forms of digital money. So the Digital Euro Association is also very excited and they're fired up to be joining partnerships here. Uh, Thrilled to share that Ripple has joined the DEA. Now, DEA, in this case, the Digital Euro Association. As a supporting partner, Ripple is one of the leading providers of enterprise blockchain and crypto solutions for cross border payments. Welcome to the DEA community again, Digital Euro Association. Ripple, supporting partner of the DEA. And then we're going to get into this blog post here in 1 second. But this is actually a very, very important step. So, what we're seeing around the world is that we're beginning to see regulatory clarity solidifying itself, cementing itself from country to country. Not in the US, because the US still has a significant lack of clarity. Around the world, however, we are starting to see this cohesion of bringing stablecoin and cryptocurrency to the mainstream through normal conversation, not through um, enforcement, not through Gary Gensler's pillars of enforcement, not through legal action, but through conversation, through discussion, through analyzing and working. Guess what? Working with the experts. What a notion. What a notion. Work with the experts that truly understand digital asset, cryptocurrency. Work with experts that have been in this since the beginning, that understand how to develop and build this out. So here you have the Digital Euro Association now announcing this partnership. To them, obviously, is a big deal because Ripple is one of the biggest players. Now, could you imagine if you take an organization like the Digital Euro Association and they look over at Ripple and say, hey, you know what? The SEC in the US is suing you. They're going after you. They're going after members or holders, retail holders of XRP because they've singled out XRP amongst all the thousands of digital assets. The SEC has singled out one company, one asset. While we already know, and it's now been shown multiple times over in video and in print, that the SEC has been very nonchalant or accepting in verbal statement, again, the written statement on Bitcoin and Ethereum, yet again, targeting and singling out another digital asset. Now, the difference and distinction between the digital assets is obvious when you have Ripple that is really taking on a life of its own into mainstream, a mainstream area where some of these bigger players, this is their playground, moving money across borders, controlling the flow of finance. Now, Ripple is stepping their toe and has been stepping their toe into this, disrupting SWIFT, that is controlled as a conglomerate by banks from around the world, that big governments also have a say so in terms of what SWIFT does or what SWIFT doesn't. Now, if we thought that there would be no pushback, then we're kind of crazy. So we knew there was going to be pushback. Now, if there is no pushback, then your idea has very little significance. If there's major pushback and major competition, then you know you're onto something and you're doing something right, that you're doing something game changing. Now, Ripple knows that what they're doing is something significant and game changing. And the Digital Euro Association that is growing up over in Europe. Why? Because regulatory clarity is on the shores of the European nations at this moment. They understand the significance of this innovative asset class, while there is resistance and pushback from government officials in the US that are trying to manipulate and control and fight over the control of who has the say in the direction of this new innovative asset.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.